all things considered, I think that they look pretty cool. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. So today we're going to be installing these LED sequential turn signals to the mirrors of the Fusion. Now forewarning, these are going to require a little bit of modification, but we'll get into that later in the video. As for now, let's just get to unboxing. Also, I found my Batman knife. So these were actually pretty inexpensive. I believe they're only $29, which is basically why I wanted to try it out. Because there are some out there that are a little bit more expensive, but they don't really seem to be any different from these. So we're just going to start off with these. I actually don't think I need my knife. So it comes with 3 pieces, being the turn signals, 1 for each side, and a pry tool. I don't think we actually need a pry tool for this specific install, but nonetheless, it doesn't hurt to have it, so thank you. Now the first thing you gotta do is remove the mirror, and honestly it's gonna feel a little wrong, but you basically just pry it off, and I like to use a rag for safety, but I mean, there's really no way around it, just literally just prying it off. The way that I find helps most is if you push the bottom down, and then you start prying from the top. And that's basically it. This is what it looks like if you want a little bit closer up of the internals. But from this point, you're basically done with the mirror. You don't have to unplug anything, just leave it be, and it'll just kind of hang there. Now this next bit's gonna be a little difficult to show because it is a pretty small piece, but essentially there's 3 little tabs right here that are being held in place by this actual housing. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull the black portion down and then pop it out. There's one right there, that's 2. That's 3. And I've already moved them a little bit so that I can actually just push it out, but it's basically just pulling that little black portion down and then having the white one, or whatever color your mirror cap is, to be pushed out. Cool. Like these 3 little tabs up here, there's also one here on the side, but you can't actually access it unless you twist it out a little bit. So basically all I'm going to try to do is get the screwdriver in there, and where it's actually making contact, just pull the actual cap to the side. And there you go. So these are the 3 tabs on top that basically lock it in position, as well as this one right here on the side. But you have to basically get these off and kind of pry it out a little bit before you can actually access this one. Not too difficult, just remember don't pull too hard because you don't actually want to break anything, and more just putting pressure on these 3 specific areas and trying to remove the contact so it can slide out a lot easier. Now from here, it's all basically just screws and the plugs keeping it in position. So the signal itself has 1 screw right there and 1 right there. But even at that point, it can still be a little difficult to get out. So there are also 3 other screws. 1 right here, 1 there, and 1 there. Those 3 hold this assembly together. There are more, but if you remove these 3, you can actually wiggle it around a little bit to the point where you can get this piece out a lot easier. So the 2 screws that I showed you guys first are T10 screws. So you're gonna need a T10 bit to get these off, but after that, it's just regular Phillips head. Also try your best not to lose them because they are pretty specific, so it'd be kind of hard to replace. So now you can move this piece around a little bit. Easiest way to do it is to pull this back a little bit and start sliding this out. Just like that. And then you just unplug it. The piece right there. Now you want to get the LED one and make sure it works. The easiest way to test it, just plug it right in. And then, where are my keys? Then you get your keys, press the unlock button, and there you go. So these work just fine. Okay, so now to the modification aspect. So if you notice, nobody really has these on their car, and the reason being that they just don't really fit. Some are too big, some are too small, and I've basically done as most research as I can on the issue and came to the simple conclusion that it's just an aftermarket piece that not many people are attempting to get nailed right. They have their attempts and they just put them out there. But I have seen success with these, specifically through Mondeo Sportback. I've been following him on Instagram for a while, and I saw him install them, and the general consensus was that they don't fit properly, but if you're willing to modify them a little bit, you can get it to work. So if you look at these 2 specific pieces, it basically just looks like one is just jet black as opposed to the other stock one, but there's actually a little bit more to it than that. If you notice, this one actually has this extension down here that actually kind of forms into the screw, whereas this one up here is more just the bottom portion and then the screw. So you can kind of see this one has more space that it has to fill. Same with on the side. As you can see, this one's actually relatively thin and just has a nice abrupt ending. This one isn't really like that. It has that additional backing that basically extends it out. So you put them together and you can kind of see the difference among just the actual thickness of it overall. But this comes into play when you're putting this in position, because it doesn't just lay on top, it actually goes inside this piece, and then on top of that, the actual cover has to go on top of it as well. So if it's too big, it's not really gonna fit properly. And so that's where the delay on this specific video started. And so I found another brand that makes them similar to stock. They actually look pretty similar in the sense that they have a similar shape. And these ones right here, like the back portion isn't too large, has that material on the bottom. You know, it doesn't stick out super far with where the screw goes. Main difference being that this one has a plug, and it's just basically smoked, not like a reflective gloss black. And so this one was actually even too small, as you can see, compared to the stock one, but it also didn't even work. So when I plug it in, this is basically all the activation it gets. You saw it was just working earlier. The hazards are on just fine. There's basically no activation anywhere over here. Now this one that doesn't fit or work is from Pro Tuning Lab. I'm sure they're a great company. They were actually even nice enough to give me a full refund and let me keep the piece. I just want to tell you guys, just so that you don't end up out of money, because it's pretty demeaning whenever you buy a piece and it just doesn't fit or work and you actually put a lot of effort into it, especially considering this one was about $90 as opposed to this one, which was just $29 or $30. So I did want to give this one a shot because I did think that with the price tag it'd be a little more reliable, on top of it being a company based in the USA. But I mean, kind of the same situation, it just doesn't really fit. So now we're basically back into modifying this one. But Pro Tuning Lab, if you get the situation settled and you want to send me a set, I'd be happy to have them on the car, because again, I'm sure they're really nice companies, just these don't fit and I don't want you guys to lose your money. Alright, now we're back into the modification aspect of installing these pieces, because honestly it'll just look really cool and I really want to try it out. So I went to Walmart and I picked up this rotary tool for $19, and the basic idea is I'm going to tape this up and just kind of chip away as I go, and from there basically try to install it. So I don't really have a set game plan on how much to cut off, more just I know there's some areas of contact that should be less, and from there we'll see how it goes. So wish me luck. Alright guys, well I think I got it cut up how I need it. It doesn't look too pretty, I know that, but you're not going to see any of the outside areas. It's just going to be the actual turn signal itself with the actual creases that it has right here, which have not been touched. So I'm going to try to reinstall it and I'll tell you guys how it looks, and if I need to do more, I'll tell you what more I need to do. Well, it seems like that was enough to get it on there. Fitment isn't perfect, but if you're like a couple feet away, you can't really tell. But if you do get really close, you'll be able to see it doesn't really fill it out 100% perfectly. Might take it off, I might keep it. I'm just gonna kind of feel it out for now. Basically, it's just a matter of just modifying it to the point where it seemingly fits. From right here, you're not gonna be able to tell anything. And then if you go up to the front, you can't really tell from this angle either, because it's basically all just black. So it's definitely up to you if you wanna go for it. I'm probably gonna keep it again just for a little bit, feel it out. But just know, if you do order this, it's probably not gonna fit perfectly, and it will require some modification, so forewarning on that. But if you guys know of any companies that actually make these and fit just perfectly out of the box, because I know these are something that you guys have been asking about, so I wanted to make sure that I did address it. But it just doesn't seem like any of them fit properly. So these are the closest ones that I could find. I'm linking these down below, because I mean, it definitely looks a lot better. I mean, stock right here, aftermarket over here. Alright, so I'm going to walk you through the specific cuts that I made that allowed it to fit a little bit better. The piece itself is snug enough that it'll hold in position, so if you can't get those screws on there, it's no biggie really. So the main area you want to go for is the end, and basically cutting off that extension, because that basically makes it to where it doesn't really fit inside the housing. As well as this top portion right here, because there is a clip that gets attached. And this specific corner makes it to where that clip can't make contact because this is in the way and it's too thick. I also cut off the bottom lining because that makes it a little bit more difficult to get it in position. I also went a little bit higher here and here. Removing this, it's resembling the stock one a little bit more. And the main thing that you don't want to do is mess with the plug right here in the top. If it gets damaged or whatever, you probably wouldn't have functionality from your turn signal. But that little tool from Walmart actually helped a bunch. And this one actually fits better for some reason. It fills it out a little bit more than the other one does. And as you can see, it works just fine. So now to button everything back up and we'll be done. So I have both of them on now. This one seems to fit in the opening a little bit better, but the passenger side seems to fit with the mirror covers a little better. So there's a little bit of a give and take on each side. All things considered, I think that they look pretty cool. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one.